Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. As always, your host with the most, Ghost. Today we got WWE Backlash 2006. This was a Raw branded pay-per-view. And this would be the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania 22. So, 2006, as most of you may know, has one of the biggest pay-per-view collections ever, with 16 pay-per-views in the calendar year. Pretty crazy, 2006. Overall, decent cover here. You got our championship triple threat match, and then our other tag team match there with the McMahons and Shawn Michaels. Overall, I actually really like this cover. I like the red Backlash logo quite a bit. You don't see that too often. Actually, I don't think we hardly ever seen it, but decent cover, and the spine looks nice as well. Again, you don't see many red Backlash logos, and you got the Monday Night Raw Presents. You got a nice home video logo outlined in red. Disc art fairly similar to the cover, except you got the Backlash hooks going up. Pretty cool. Mine came in a cheapo eco case. Still not happy about this. And I believe they did come with inserts, these Backlash DVDs. But as you can see here, mine did not. And yes, I am not happy about that either. But when you buy them used, you can't really complain. So, 2006, for those of you who may not know, 2006 is one of those years I did not watch as it happened. So going back and watching a lot of this stuff, I enjoyed a lot of 2006. I know a lot of the subscribers do, and a lot of people in general, they like 2006. I don't get where all the hate comes from for the 2006. So, for the card itself, I think this was a decent show. This was Sunday, April 30th, 2006. We had our pretty much rematches from WrestleMania. For the women's title, Mickie James versus Trish, with Mickie James now the women's champ. Ric Flair versus Umaga. Pretty crazy, man. Ric Flair always put on a show. Umaga is one of my favorites. Carlito versus Chris Masters. Never really got into Chris Masters. I was a fan of Carlito. Big Show versus Kane. The less said about that, the better. Here's a match I really enjoy going back and watching from time to time. It's the Money in the Bank versus the IC title, winner take all. Rob Van Dam versus Shelton Benjamin. Man, Shelton Benjamin was on fire during this time. So when I stopped watching, he had moved to Raw in, I believe, 2004, the draft lottery. So this is a couple years after that. RVD, he had been a former IC champ, and now he's the Money in the Bank champion, I guess. Really good match here. RVD walks away with the IC title and the Money in the Bank briefcase. Of course, we all know he'll go on to cash in a couple of months later at One Night Stand. Then we get to Shawn Michaels and God versus the McMahons. that this is just horrible. And this is, I think, where the hate comes from for 2006. This was just embarrassing. I mean, they actually had God in a match. Crazy to think about. These promos were hilarious, though, from Mr. McMahon. Go back and watch some of those, pre-match promos between Mr. McMahon, Shane McMahon. Shawn Michaels, always a pro. And, he did the best with what he had here. Of course, he did defeat Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 22. And the triple threat match for the WWE Championship, John Cena, Triple H, and Edge. Really good triple threat match here. This was pretty much during Cena's dominant run. And once again, going back to One Night Stand, Cena's going to hold on to the title for a couple more months until he faces RVD at One Night Stand. Overall, I think this pay-per-view gets a thumbs up from me. Really enjoyed it. It's worth going back to watch. It may not be my favorite of all time, but Backlash was... I always liked the pay-per-view name, Backlash. I thought it was a good pay-per-view after WrestleMania. Let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. Take some time. Subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Peace.